When you are teaching an in-person class, you are there to guide the students and give them cues for what they're going to be doing. However, when we're preparing for these C3 courses, we're going to assume that the students are going to have no guidance from an instructor while they're actually going through the course unless they set up time with you to help them for something on their own. So what we need to do is we need to be extra mindful in how we label things to make it really easy for students and parents to find what they need. So what I have here is a cheat sheet, and you're going to get this cheat sheet so you have it when you're developing the courses. We're going to have different material types labeled certain ways so that it's really easy for both you as the teacher and for the students and the parents to understand what is going to be completed in each of the different things. So what we try to do is we have the structure like we showed before for the unit and lesson name, where the unit just has the unit number and the name, and then the lessons have just unit number, then lesson number, and then the name. But then each of the components in the lessons are also going to be labeled certain ways as well. So this cheat sheet, which you're going to get, is just going to label how you're going to mark these when you're building these different lessons then. All right, so notice that all of these have space where you're going to give it a title even though there's a label in front of it. All right. And then what you'll also notice is that some of these different material types are going to have a number scheme in front of it. This number scheme only needs to be included for things that are going to be graded. So this number scheme is going to make it easier when we transfer things into courses from year to year. So that way when Schoology pulls up this page where you can quickly make modifications to due dates and things all at once, all of these materials are going to be labeled in order. So it's just going to make it easier for future teachers to get the classes set up and not have to go through a whole list of things that are in each course then. All right. Another thing that you'll notice in each of these different material types is an approximate time to complete. So we're trying to make it really easy for you as the instructor and the course developer to determine how many different activities need to be completed within the week. So if you put an approximate time frame for each activity, then when you're trying to evaluate how much time it would take to complete a lesson, you can just literally add up the number of minutes it would take to complete the separate things. And then that will help as you're going through and working with that weekly guide, that pacing guide, to keep the students on track then. So this page just gives a synopsis of what each of those different material types are like. I'm not going to go into detail for all of them just because it'll get a little monotonous, but I'll show what it looks like in a course. Your courses are going to try to be structured in a similar way to how we do our LFS lessons in the in-person classroom. So to start out, I just have an introduction page. This would just be something that shows a quick synopsis of the lesson. You could put the essential question for the lesson and then any key vocabulary down. This would be nice because when you're setting up the weekly pacing guides, you could literally just pull the essential question from here and put it on that pacing guide so it's front and center as well. And then the students potentially will see that question 2 times when they're going through with this lesson then. And then I also put on here, if you use guided notes, you could attach your document that you have here for students to fill in, whether they just fill it out online or whether they can print it out or just even copy it onto a notebook and just use a similar structure so they know how to devote different amounts of pages or different amount of space on a page for their notes in as well. And then you can just see in general how I have these things listed. You'll notice, like I said, anything that's not graded, it just has a label in front, the name of whatever that component is, and then an approximate amount of time. Anything that is marked as being graded has that naming scheme in front, and then it still has that other information. And then if I scroll down further, I just have also create for some sort of project or written work. I have an assessment built in. I have a spot where they can share with a discussion. And then I also have a place for the students to reflect then. All right, so I'm not saying that these things all need to be completed in every lesson that you're doing, but I just wanted to give a model of how we have this structured to try to follow the flow of what a potential lesson would look like in a regular classroom.